and vice versa. There are two different timelines in here. The deputy health officer appointment for Sharon Kelly has to be made for September 1st, whereas the appointment for Carl for health officer for the city is for October 1st.
Quick question on the form indicates, oh, never mind. I think I've answered my own question.
We do have a revised form for Sharon that clarifies that it's a September 1 start date.
Okay.
I think there's an August 1 start date on the form, so we've got that corrected.
Okay. Yeah, I think the only other, no, I guess I didn't answer my own question. There's on Carl's form, it says it's reappointment, but wouldn't it be a new appointment?
Yes, it should be a new appointment, so we can adjust that.
Assume your game. Super excited.
Yeah.
All right. So let's see. Do we have any questions from city councilors?
I don't. It's just take a minute to thank Carl, I think.
Do you have any questions for us, Carl?
I know. I'm doing something for the village, city.
We appreciate it.
It's nice. There's a little bit of time between when John, you guys, I know you have a lot of spare time, as do I. So there's nice. There's a little overlap there. So
We're meeting with back before though.
yeah, good.
Nice.
Good.
Somebody want to read the motion?
I move that the city council make the recommendation to the Department of Health to appoint Carl Wormer and to the position of health officer for the city starting October 1st, 2025, and reappoint Sharon Kelly to the position of deputy health officer for the city starting September 1, 2025.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Good to see you, Carl.
Have a good night. All right. Next, we got Public Works Department Head brief to the City Council. Ricky Jones, take it away. You do have to come to the mic, though.
So I did some bullets for you folks.
Okay.
And I wanted to either, you guys probably, these are kind of quick.
Yep.
And
Head us.
there might be some questions from some of these people. I'm looking over you, Marcus, too. Or if not, then we could just jump on to the next one that I'm looking forward to hearing.
Take it away.
So look back the past 6 months. The winter went well. We had a decent, kind of a normal winter that we've seen in the past. We've hired 2 full-time employees, so we are fully staffed, which we haven't said in a long, long time.
Nice.
Going with the Lincoln Hall renovations, that's just about wrapped up now. We got some tweaks. There's gonna be a couple little hiccups probably here and there, but not a lot. So that's good. And before we hired the full-time staff, we were looking at contracting out what it would cost the city to contract out snow plowing, sidewalks, and also the like the road painting. Mm-hmm. And after we got some numbers, it took a while, and it just wasn't not in the cards for that. And I probably should have put Crescent Connector in there too, the old croissant connector. That is wrapping up good. So there's just a little bit left. Then the look ahead, of course, Iroquois water line. That's, I don't want to jinx it, but that is going very good. Then the new shop, question mark? Mr. Hamlin's here. Yeah, to be continued after that. And looking forward to wrapping up Lincoln Hall. Be done with that. That's good. That came out great. I don't know if I'm sure you folks have probably seen it or gone to it. No, that came out really well. Yeah. We're helping out with the wastewater treatment facility. They've got a new camera that we put on our Super Sucker 7000. Put it on there. We can jet up, and on the way back, and it takes a video of it. It's not live. It's downloaded to a phone. Then we have to go to a cloud. Then we get it. But we're trying to help out. They have a lot of problems with that I&I, the infiltration and inflow. Mm-hmm. It's gone down a little bit by the sounds of it because of being so dry. So we're playing with the camera now, finding a couple little hiccups with it that we can trying to get that going. And once the I comes back up, they'll see the numbers of the plant. We're gonna try to get out there and just TV some lines, see if we can find out where some of this is coming from. So hopefully help that out. And we're stepping back into some of the building maintenance, at Lincoln Hall and the library. We're helping them again after things got switched around. So we're back on that. And keep working on the traffic lights, especially around the Five Corners area. Got a price on getting some new cameras there to help out with some of the clarity on it and update them there. I think they're back in 2009. I think they were originally. And this project, the Crescent Connector, when they did this, they didn't realize they were going to be that old, by the time the Crescent Connector was installed.
We started
So-
it 30 years ago.
Yeah, so it's like, boy, we probably should upgrade those. And it's I've talked to one person, one of our contractors, and they've got some new ones now, of course, the latest and greatest stuff, and it's like traffic counts, people count, stuff like that. So just started looking into that. So I put a bug in Regina's ear the other day about the budget, so we got to start working on that fairly soon. But that's kind of the high spots right there, Some of the recent stuff, I went over and held a ladder at the library for the bee lady, Michelle, to get the bees out of there.
Okay.
Yep.
Where were the bees?
They were tucked up above the window on the flower shop side, way up in there. So I had to hold the ladder. She's not great with ladders. It's a 20-footer. So I held it. And she was in her bee suit and she's going to spray them. I said, I'm down here. I'm like, am I going to be okay? I said, yeah, you should be fine. I'm like, okay. So I didn't have, no, she was right. I was okay. I just sat there. I'm like, oh, it's going to be bad.
Interesting.
Yes.
Well,
Thanks for doing that.
Yeah, no problem.
Other duties as assigned.
Yes.
You guys got questions, Ricky?
yeah, I don't know. It seems like you're in a much better spot this year than last, right? You
Yeah.
sat here last year and we talked about struggles of finding people, and so you've found the people.
Yes.
I tell you, and I always say it to people, is we're very fortunate. You talked about the dollars to paint the roads and clear the sidewalks. We're always pretty fortunate. Our paint crew, these dedicated guys that work overnight to do a lot of the busier intersections. And so today was the first day of school. All the crosswalks are painted, all the stop bars. Doesn't mean people are going to stop at the stop bars, but the stop bars are painted, the intersections are done, the crosswalks are there.
We're missing a couple R's. for the
Yeah,
railroads.
well,
We
I
just
wasn't
made-
going to mention the
We,
R.
well,
Rick.
I'll bring it up. Probably somebody saw them. Yeah. We do have the stencil. We
You
had to
do
make
have
it-
the stencil
We had
this
to
year?
make a stencil. Well, we
Okay.
could not find the stencil. So after they painted at the Crescent Connector and over
Yeah.
on Main Street for the paving, we went over and measured and had one of the guys. They
Yeah,
kind
and-
of had a stencil. So
Nice.
it's not the greatest week to be doing the R's.
And then I just want to take a minute and acknowledge, because I talk to the public a lot, and every interaction I hear from them is, we submit something through See Click Fix, or we call you guys, the public works folks, and it's an immediate response. And so I know even now that you're fully staffed, I imagine it's a little bit easier, but even through your time where you weren't, it's been a great response. So, everybody I talk to always talks about the sidewalks are clear, the roads are clear, everything's looking great. And so I just want to give you a little props for that.
I'll appreciate it.
So-
We try like heck over there.
And have you found the library roof is going to be happening soon?
It's going to be happening. We don't know when.
Yeah, and so that's part of
They had
the,
an employee hiccup on their part.
okay.
And
And
so they're working on that. But
And
yeah.
so the split responsibilities are helping out with buildings, that's going okay?
Yep.
Okay. All right. It's just a curiosity from my point.
It's going fine.
Yeah, I think we're still in a state of evolution of figuring out what level of need we need on that front, right? Because we just finished a huge project to Lincoln. And I can't remember if it was last budget cycle or when we talked about this, but there's a world of building work that would be great to get to, like an inventory of everything and trying to figure out all the maintenance needs in all of our facilities. And so we could prioritize what those needs are, much like we do in the capital plan, but for the buildings. So just a lot of different pieces that I think we've still got to figure out exactly how we'll kind of pick those up and do them. But in terms of assistance with maintenance and getting folks in, it's awesome that Ricky's team can help step back in to do that. type of work at Public Works and the library. It's very appreciated.
Marcus, you got questions for Ricky?
Oh,
Oh,
I
boy.
might wait. No, I do have a question. Just out of curiosity,
First, Marcus,
oh,
I want
God,
to
here it
guess.
comes.
I want to guess.
Yeah.
I'm going to take a shot at this. The corner of Hiawatha and West Street, the cones. Was that
No.
it?
No.
Champlain Water is supposed to come in there and do some work, so that's why we haven't repaired anything. They're come in and do some work on their connection to our main there. They're gonna do that. So I'm sorry. I just want to see if I can jump ahead of it. See if I can. I tried.
No. And believe me, I thought about it, but I also knew, so it was fun. No, actually, I was curious as I was driving through the city today. It just brought up a question for me in understanding the lights, not the crescent connector lights. I know based on the conversations we've had around those crescent connector lights and the work that's going to continue to be done until it's finished. I'm wondering about the other lights in the city, whether it's the one at West Street Extension and Pearl Street, or the one on Susie Wilson. Do they all work in relatively the same same manner? Because I know with the crescent connector lights are being put up, one of the things that I understood is it is kind of taking an evaluation of the traffic at the moment in order to potentially change the interval to help the flow. Does that happen at these other intersections as well?
On West Street, we have not studied that one. We haven't had any problems with that. And Susie Wilson is not ours. That's a state-owned signal.
Okay. It only came up for me today because I was sitting at what felt like at that light at West Street. There was nothing on Pearl at the time. And there was a ton of us sitting on West Street Extension for a period of time. And again, it doesn't come up on a regular basis. So it's not one of those problems that, let's get on top of this. No. I was just curious. So
It's pretty apparent, and we get a lot of calls, and we see it ourselves. Yeah.
yeah. Okay, cool. Thanks.
I was just gonna tell him I'll start calling him every day because that light at West Street Extension in Pearl doesn't. When I leave at 4 o'clock in the morning, usually I roll up and it turns. It hasn't done that for a couple of weeks now.
Oh yeah.
So there's.
Did you put it in?
Did you put a
secret?
secret?
Listen, I'm not gonna see click fix at 4 o'clock in the morning when I'm driving. I'm gonna go left on red.
He says that we're at the police station, but
Oh,
anyway.
if it continues it. If it continues it, let me know.
Yeah, I will.
You know what
I
we're-
only remembered it because Marcus said
Do
something.
you know where we're located over at there, 11 Jackson?
I know how to use the city C click fix, so I'll go that route.
Okay, very good.
Ryan, do you have any questions?
I do. Thanks, Ricky, for coming in. You've seen, speaking of C-Click Flicks, you've seen that entry from what happened on Grove Street this week.
Yes.
Yeah. Just can you give me a little background, and for the people who are watching online, some work seemed to be done on the sewer system, and it pushed into people's houses.
Yes.
Yep,
Yeah.
that was our new camera that we're
Okay.
trying out.
Okay.
We put skids on it. The guys, when they're out there, they put skids to get up a little higher. So then it makes it heavier. So they had to bump the pressure up,
Okay.
try to get up that line to get that picture.
Okay.
And yes, now the operator talked to one or two, maybe three people that came out. And I went over and met with one of them also the next day.
Okay. And is this something that can be prevented, or just you're learning how to not? I mean, because nobody wants
No.
water from
Oh,
the garbage
yes.
into their house.
No, definitely understood. Yeah, with the new Super Sucker 7000, we did get some different nozzles.
Okay.
And you got to be a little bit more careful with the pressure. We
Okay.
get a lot more off. It cleans the pipe a lot better, but it does what I call is burping the toilets.
Okay.
Basically, just puts that up and it takes whatever water's in the toilet and just burps it out. So that cleans out all your traps. So then you get that. It's not dirty water, but it's in the toilet. Then you get that little smell of sewer. But then once they flush it back again, it fills that trap back up. And sometimes there has been occasions where it's been a venting problem on a house. The house isn't properly vented. so that it has nowhere to go besides up to that fixture. But yes, no, we definitely know. We told we're not gonna use the skid on the 8-inch pipes. You know, it does give us a better picture, because it does get it up out of the water, you know, it basically just brings it up, I don't know how many inches, a couple inches, but it does make that unit heavier. It's a heavier head. So you gotta be able to push that thing up, and they can't go as far, you know, you can't, what we could do is set the truck up and usually jump through a couple manholes,
Okay.
you know, the distance wise, instead of just go a little bit and then go set the next one, just a lot more efficient. But with this being the way it is, we're probably gonna have to jump from manhole to manhole. It's gonna take a little more time, but it'd be a lot less headaches for the residents out there. Yeah, we definitely don't want to do that. No.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, well, and how often does it burp, as you say, into people's homes? Because I'm told that this is not the first time it's happened just on Grove Street.
That could be, you have to look back. That is probably an annual flush,
Okay.
I'm gonna assume. We do the whole city, it's like 4 or 5, 4 years, 5 years, we do the whole city.
Okay.
So we've got sections. But then we also have the ones that are annuals, that we know we have some either grease problems or whatever problems.
Okay.
And we'll clean those annually to make sure everything's flowing properly.
Okay.
I'm assuming that's gonna be the annual one. And if he has a hard time getting up it, he's gotta bump the pressure up to get that thing cleaned. So I haven't looked at the video yet and had a chance,
Okay.
but we did get the video downloaded. So I'll be curious to see what is
Yeah.
in there, if there's roots or if there's a sag in the pipe or
Okay.
something making it harder to get up it.
Okay. Great. Keep us posted. I'm curious too.
Sure.
I
I can send you the dirty movie if you want.
yeah, I'm interested just from a high level how those things work anyway. So yeah, sure.
I don't know if it's maybe too big to email, but I can get to Regina and she can get it to you.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Yeah.
Town Meeting TV.
What's that?
We'll put it on Town Meeting TV.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah.
It's kind of boring.
Could do a Junction City News on it.
Don't team me up for that joke. Yeah, I was just, you said that this was an annual process, right? So I'm
On certain lines.
on certain lines.
Certain lines is gonna be an annual, we know we have problems.
Yeah.
Or we've had issues, whether plugs, a lot of times grease.
Fair enough.
You
Fair
know, the
enough.
stuff that we can't tell people not to put down, we do tell them not to
Well,
put it down, but it gets down there.
Yeah, and I'm gonna think, where's the camera here? Yeah, please don't put grease down your toilets or sinks, because not only does it make Rick's job harder, but it's bad for the pipes. It all costs us money.
And the flushables, do that
Yes.
for Chelsea.
Oh God!
Don't forget the flushables for the,
There is no such thing as a flushable wipe.
you are correct.
There.
Yeah, if anyone,
councilman,
public
Shout,
record.
shout out to Chelsea.
yes, like I can tell you, I went on a tour of the water treatment facility, and they showed me where those ended up. So yes, and then I had to my sisters who are fans of these things, I had to talk them out of it. I don't know if it worked, but at least they're not flushing this junction. So, yes, please don't.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. doing your
Yeah,
part.
so I was wondering if you have, like, I'm told that it's a challenge to notify the neighbors where this happens, because it's not something that's scheduled, but you also said that it was annual. So I'm just wondering if we could do a better job of communicating to our residents and constituents before these things happen, in case the burping happens.
Yeah, it would be hard to do it for the flushing. We do it for the hydrant flushing.
Okay,
We'll put in, because we have a 2-week time in the spring and a 2-week time in the fall.
okay,
And we do a whole citywide saying, hey, we're gonna be flushing hydrants.
okay.
So that can sometimes discolor the water, turn up some things. That's
Yeah.
what we're trying to clean out. As far as, I don't know how we would do it. Like certain neighbors, it's all depends on the day. There'd be certain times, it's not like, okay, from April 1, to dog, it's not that. It's like, okay, we got time, why don't you buzz out there, get a few of these done, and he's got to get on another project.
Sure.
It's, I don't want to say it's a filler thing, but we do have to jump them around quite a bit. So we can't say like, this week we'll be doing this road.
I mean, you don't
And I
have like
don't-
a queue of them. We're gonna do like, these are the most important ones. They're gonna come up in this order. Yeah, I get it that you can't say, hey, on sometime between Thursday at 8 and Friday at noon, we're gonna hit your street. Seemed like it
don't know
seems
how
to
we-
be that you ought to have enough plan, like.
How would we get it out to the people though? That's
Well,
the
let me
thing.
come back to that, right?
Okay.
Because what I'm told is that when it's like, hey, today is the day that we have Grove Street, today is the day we have Maple Street, right? Then I hear you and I understand you when you say, well, hey, I don't have a mechanism to tell anybody, right? But if the city were to provide you a mechanism to send it either to the whole city or subsets of the city, right? Would that be an imposition to say, hey,
We would
hey, Ashley, or hey, whatever staffer's in charge of the communication process, we're gonna do these streets today, it came up, we have time, can you please send out the notifications? Would that be an imposition on staff?
No, we should be able to do that.
Okay,
But I'm not looking, you're not.
What's
like,
that?
I hope you're not looking at like getting Ron a blowhorn. To go out and he drives up and down the road, the Super Sucker 7000 saying Flushing today. You don't want
It's a
that.
great idea.
I don't know if you'll hear the bullhorn over the sucker.
I know, right. But yeah, that'd be, again, we're not gonna be able to tell each one. That's gonna be hard. We could definitely try,
Sure.
but it's just gonna be so hard to do. And then of course, if there is a plug, we're not notifying anybody. We're gonna like go out there and just get that plug.
Sure, yeah, no,
That's the only emergency. That's what I talked to some of the folks on Grove Street.
I understand.
Brian, I think this is a great conversation, but can we kind of, we have other stuff we need to get to, so can we put those on the back burner to have this conversation at a later time?
Fair enough. Okay, all right, thanks.
Thank you, Ricky, for answering those. We all want to talk about the new building. Rick Hamlin's here to talk about the new building. So, come on up.
You come right here and I'm gonna sit right by your side.
Don't go very far.
I'll be your wingman.
That's great, thank you.
Oh, I love talking public works facilities.
Hey, Amber, real quick,
Yeah.
I just want to note, because of the fact that we're moving from one agenda item to the other, I believe we usually give public to be heard an opportunity in case they have some general public works, department head questions, an opportunity to ask.
Sure, I can do that. Does the public have any questions for Ricky Jones? Online, anybody? There's nobody in the room, so I gotta pay attention to you guys online. I'm not seeing any. Back to Rick Hamlin.
Thank you.
Okay, so Rick, I can share these slides. Is that helpful?
Yes, that would be good.
Okay.
We could put those up on the screen.
I think I got them to fit as best as possible. That's as good as we're gonna get in order to fit the whole thing on each page.
Yeah, can you enlarge that to take up the whole screen? And that's what you're gonna get.
I think that's the best I'm gonna get here.
Okay,
I can try to do it a tiny bit, but it's gonna really mess up the whole thing.
all right. I may end up walking up there and pointing then to key things that
Yeah.
may not be as visible as we'd like them to be at that size.
Feel free.
All right. So, Public Works Facility, conversation about upgrade replacement of the facility. A little history probably is in order. The last time there was an upgrade of the Public Works Facility in terms of actual building, storage, operational space was 1996. We prepared some plans for the enlargement of the existing barn structure, and the Public Works crew built the addition themselves back in 96. Since then, the only other major change that's happened to the site was the installation of the salt shed, and that happened in 2005. And let me just walk you around the site here. Let me get something to point with. So before I get started on this, let me just say the process, where we're at in terms of moving from where we are to potentially doing improvements at the site. If you envision this as be a 1,000-mile journey.
1 second, Rick.
We're struggling a little bit to hear Rick right now. So.
So
Got the mic.
thank you. Is that better?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, good. So as I was saying, where we are, if you consider this a 1,000-mile journey, we're in the first couple hundred yards of that 1,000-mile trip to get from where we are to something new at the facility. And so what I'm going to show you tonight is not a final solution. It's just a points to start a discussion about what could happen here and get some guidance from you folks about what might want to happen. So if you're not familiar with this site, this is the salt shed here in the corner. The railroad tracks are here. The property's about 3 acres, located off Jackson Street. There's a shed here. This is storage. This is known as the water building here. It's the blue building that you see when you first come in. And then the main shop structure. And this area, from here to here, this third of the building was what got added back in 1996.
Regina, I'm sorry to interrupt, Rick. I can hear you fine, but I'm wondering, Regina, if you don't mind, because online we can't see where he's pointing. So for us to understand the references, I think it would be helpful if, I don't know if maybe you put your mouse over that area or what, however, but yeah.
Logan is working on it.
Working on it.
Thank you.
How about my screen, Marcus?
Unfortunately, you're too far away, sir.
Okay.
Logan, are you ready there? If I point?
If nothing else, the square footage is also a reference point on those buildings. If that helps, maybe reference the building by that.
Sure. All right, let me do that. So the building in the lower left corner, 2861 square feet, 2,861 square feet. That's the salt shed. To the right of that, 2,770 square feet. That's a storage structure. 5,388 square feet. That's the main barn where all the equipment and all the public works staff work out of. 2,005 square feet in the upper left-hand corner is the water building, the blue building, also storage. Parking lots, the main parking lot is all paved. The parking lot that you see, the long rectangular at the very top of the screen, is a parking lot that was built and leased to a neighbor. That lease has run out, so that area is now usable. So on the screen, you'll see 2 outlines, one in green and one in red, 2 dotted lines. And those represent the footprints of the 2 solutions that we'll talk about as we get a little farther into the slides. And so, Marcus, can you see the green and the red okay?
Yep, he's giving you a thumbs up.
Okay, perfect. All right. So the red represents the solution of removing all the existing buildings on the site except for the salt shed and building one entire new facility. The green represents an infill building that would connect the 2,000 square foot building with the 5,000 square foot building. Those buildings would remain and be renovated and reworked for a new purpose with a new building, the green outline, infilling those. So that just gives you an overview of the site and kind of where this whole conversation will go this evening in terms of the structures. We could probably go to the next slide. So this just depicts the existing building elevations. So you've got the on the very top view, that structure on the left is the water building, the blue building. Structure on the right is the existing barn shop area. And so those are the key buildings that we'll be tying into in the version 1 solution. So we can probably go to the next page. So this plan shows a 9,900 square foot infill between the 5,000 square foot building and the 2,000 square foot building. This area here, and I'm just pointing to that outline of the 9,900 square feet. That would physically connect the structures, and so there'd be a complete passage from one structure to the other. In inclement weather, there'd be no need, as there is now, to go outside and then back in to get to the other side of the facilities. That new 9,900 square foot area, and you'll see this in another slide, would be the new, essentially, shop and prime vehicle storage space for Public Works. And we'll go through the slides, and then we can come back to some of these. Here are the elevations of what that infill would look like. Again, you've got at the very top, we'll look at the northeast elevation. To the left is the existing barn, the existing main Public Works facility. To the right is that blue building, the water building existing. And what you see in the middle is that 9,000 square foot infill building that would connect those two. And so this just depicts a potential look for what this is. And again, these are ideas, these are concepts, they aren't final designs, but just a way to solve what is not enough room and not enough facility space for public works. So let's take a look at the next slide. So here shows the 21,000 25-foot square foot new building, and this supposes and proposes to remove everything on the site, every building on the site, except for the salt shed, that 3,000 square foot structure in the corner. And I should say in version 1 and version 2, we're showing an expansion to the salt shed, adding one more bay to the salt shed, covering the existing bays that are used for gravel now, and then moving some other bays that are up here for cold patch, topsoil, mulch, moving all of those to the other side of the facility. So all the granular material is all in bins down at the bottom of the page near that 3,716 square foot and then the 3,165 square foot labels. So all of the bin material would be moved to there. And then the site, all the rest of the buildings on the site would go, and there'd be one 21,000 square foot building to replace all of the uses in that building. So we should look at the next slide. So here are the building elevations. Quite a big building, big footprint that would replace everything else on the site. With the version 1, there's about a little over 20,000 square feet of total area. With version 2, about 21,000 square feet. And so this building would encompass all of the existing buildings that are on the site, plus that additional almost 10,000 of new building. So all of the functions would go into one facility, one building on the site. So let's take a look at the next slide. So before we started this whole process, we met with the Public Works folks actually several times. And one of the things we did was to inventory every single piece of rolling stock that Public Works has. And so it may be a little hard to see on this screen, but there's a picture on the left. There's a description about what it is, and then there are dimensions about what it is, how big it is, length, width, and height. So we were able to calculate not only the area it took, but also the volume, how tall it needed to be. And so the next slide shows how all of those pieces of equipment might lay out. So let's look at the bottom of the page. This is the existing, and it shows how vehicles are stored now. And you can see that there are multiple vehicles that are stored outside of the building, namely all of the operational pickup trucks from all the staff live outside. In both solutions, all of the equipment fits inside. So either way, with a new infill building or take everything down, build all new, that fits in both situations. Just a quick little walk around some of the floor plan. In version 1, the building in the upper left, the little bit, which is the blue building, the metal building, the small, known as the water building, that becomes office space, locker space, meeting space, break area, all of the components that now exist in the existing building, in the existing layout down here in the right corner, that little space, that now all happens in that building. So that would be renovated to provide complete kind of working living space for the Public Works crew. The main shop area takes all of the equipment that normally gets moved in and out every day. And then the less used equipment as cold storage would be the old barn facility. And so that's what version 1 depicts. Version 2, everything new, all under one roof. Office space, showers, locker, essentially the very same components that live in version 1 would live in version 2, but it would be all under the same roof and not in a semi-separate structure. So with that, let me go back to my seat here and just talk to you a little bit about some of the pros and cons of the different versions.
Is it helpful if I stay on this slide, Rick, or you want me to do something different?
I think for now we can stay there. Got me okay? All right. So before we started this process, we attended a conference. It was 4 or 5 communities in New Hampshire that had rebuilt their public works facilities. And they had a fairly long conversation and sharing about their experiences, what worked well, what worked not so well, things that they would do again, things they wouldn't do again. And one of the stories that one of the communities told was they looked at their current facilities. They said, look, we don't want to save anything. We're just going to level everything out in our public works facility. We're going to build a new building and start from scratch. And so the plan was that the construction was scheduled to take about 8 months before they could get back into a facility. There were site problems, there were soil issues, geotechnical issues. It took a little over 2 years for them to build their building. And in that time, their public works crew had no place to live. They had vehicles spread all over their community. They had no place for their crews to meet. They had no facilities. And so that was, to me, a pretty well-learned lesson about just tearing everything down and starting over. And so version 1 would allow all the operations to continue as the new building got built and the water building got renovated. Then the crew could move into those new facilities and really not miss too much of a beat during that process. There'd be some issues, but at least they'd have a roof over their head. The plow trucks could stay under cover in the winter through the construction for the new facility. So that's the benefit of version 1. Obviously, version 2 means everything is brand new, everything is complete, there's no old facilities to deal with. So in version 1, the one old building gets totally renovated, and we've included in our estimates renovation work for the barn building too, to make some improvements, lighting improvements, seal things up, just make it a better space for what ultimately would be cold storage for some of the equipment. In terms of prices, we've done preliminary costing for the buildings and all the site work. Looks like about $5 million for version 1 and around $9 million for version 2, which is tear everything down and start over again. So that's kind of where we're seeing the price breaks. Obviously, with version 1, you get to keep some of the structures, so that is some savings. You're not building as big of a building total, which is obviously a big hunk of the savings. So that's where we're at. 2 kind of paths, a chance to choose a right or a left path in terms of, do we infill a building or does everything get torn down and a whole new building get built? And again, these aren't meant to be a final answer or solution, but just to offer up that there is a possibility to infill, or there is a possibility to tear everything down and build new. And whether the building shapes are exactly like that or a little bit different, the costs that we're looking at in terms of big picture are going to be about the same. So again, we're looking at metal buildings, open span, free span metal buildings, fairly straightforward. So nothing too extreme in terms of architecture.
Not too fancy like a Lincoln Hall renovation.
No elevator.
It'd be a lot easier. Just,
Yeah.
no water. Either way they do it. Yeah.
So, pre-engineered metal building would be the main portions of these structures. And with that, let me just stop and see if you have any questions.
So Rick, you mentioned that in version 1, the guys would still have a home during construction. You
Correct.
didn't say that was the case in version 2.
Version 2, there is no place for them. There's
Okay.
everything, all of their storage, all of their equipment inside their break room, bathroom, everything that they've got would be gone to build version 2. Everything literally on the site would have to be leveled to build that version 2. And in terms of site circulation, so version 1 would allow through traffic to come through the old barn. So there'd still be a garage door at both ends, and equipment could be moved in and out straight through. With version 1 new building, again, the doors would be at the bottom of the page, top of the page. All the vehicles could drive straight through the facility. Plenty of turning radius even for the super sucker to come out. There'd be plenty of space for employee parking near the locker room, office end of the building. So that works very well on the site. Plus, the office now is right near the front gate entrance area. So right now, if you go to visit Rick Jones, Public Works Superintendent at his office, you have to drive into the facility, past the blue building, past the salt shed, past the barn, past the bins, and right into the depth of the site to visit
I might
him.
not even be there.
At the end, yeah, and you can't tell if he's there, so you might have to turn around and go back. With version 1, that all of that, visitors are going to enter the site and be right there at the office. No need for them to drive and circulate through the operational area of Public Works. And so that separates kind of the working part of the facility with the public interface with the facility. Version 2 does that somewhat also, probably not quite as well as version 1, but still we placed all the office space at the first location where you would interface or come to the building as you came through the entry gate. With version 2, because of its size and because of the limited elbow room on the site, traffic would enter from, as we're looking at the plan, from the bottom of the drawing and would exit to the left-hand side of the upper part of the drawing. So you would be driving through and having to turn 90 degrees and come out the doors, which can be done, and there's plenty of floor space there, but it's not quite as preferable as if you were able to drive straight through that facility. And if at some point we'll go back and I'll show you on the site plan, that building, because of its size, pushes right up against the kind of outer limit of that long rectangular parking lot we saw in the original slides. So plenty of storage space, all the same functions, but one of the issues with it obviously is that you got to find a place for all the equipment and all the people to go during construction. So,
Guesstimates on version 1, version 2 timeframes?
um,
I'm not going to hold you to it. I'm
yeah,
just kind of curious.
yeah, I think I'm going to say that they're going to end up about the same. Demolition of the existing building is going to take a little time because there's some probably hazardous materials, so they're going to have to be taken care of. The other building will have to be gutted and rebuilt essentially from the inside. I think about the same. I guess if I had to say how fast could Public Works get into the facility and start to use it, version 1 is going to be a little bit quicker because you got 2 separate buildings. You've got the big kind of core building in the middle, the new building, that you could get vehicles in before all the paint and baseboard and all was finished in the office space, for example, because there's still going to be office space and bathrooms and a meeting place for all the crew still in the old building. And so you could stage your move in version 1. Version 2, you're going to probably want to wait till everything is completely done and all the trim and paint is dry before you start moving anything in there.
Amber, just so you know, Marcus has his hand up as well.
Okay. I don't know that I heard time frame. Did I hear that?
8 months.
8 months? Okay, sorry.
Oh,
I didn't hear.
in terms of how long?
Yeah, 8 months. Okay.
Oh,
I apparently glossed over. It's okay.
well, no,
Okay.
I would say realistically, from the time you break ground to the time you get into the building, it's probably a year. It's probably a year's worth of, from the time you start to the time you're done.
Okay.
I would plan for a year.
Yeah, go to Marcus
Okay,
before I
Marcus.
get started.
Yeah.
You're
You gotta
muted, Marcus.
unmute yourself.
Sorry, go ahead, Tim. You go first. Go ahead.
And I know you guys, well, you said that you traveled to New Hampshire and had some conversations, and we have the benefit of having some neighboring municipalities that have done public works facilities in the very recent history. St. Albans started the way, and then Georgia used the St. Albans plans and shrunk it a little bit. And then Milton used the same St. Albans and Georgia plans and twisted the building. And they're all done design build. And so I'm curious because the Milton facility that was completed last year is 27,000 square feet. And it cost the town $6 million. And they raised some of that funds privately. The Georgia facility was bonded in 23 and it was $3.5 million on the bond. And so I'm going to just lead the charge here and say, I have seen those buildings. I've been in those buildings. I know what those buildings are. And if you're asking me which way to go, we need to tear them down. I'm thankful that none of it encompasses where the old fuel pumps used to be, because that alleviates some issues over on that side. But short of this conversation of hiring architects and doing this and that, I really think that having learned some lessons from 2 Lincoln, design build would be a better way to go for us. And as we toured through 2 Lincoln, everybody said, boy, I wish we could have fixed those floors. Right? And I think this is the perfect opportunity to really have a slate that is clean. It also, thinking to the 2 Lincoln renovations, there was some other communal space that was offered to staff for meeting spaces and bathroom spaces and lunch spaces that worked, that are village buildings that are limited access public spaces that provide some shelter and some warmth and a bathroom and a kitchenette kind of thing. So I'm sure that those spaces, if you ask that department head, would be offered up relatively easily. I'm thinking of the space above the fire station. So those guys could, have some space. Your trucks are diesel. They need to be plugged in the winter if they're outside, or is it, right? They block heaters.
The super sucker.
Yeah.
Got to be heated. It's got to be in someplace.
Yeah.
If you have a sewer backup or something, we need to get out of it. You can't just winterize it and park it outside.
Yeah. So, I hate to say renovate the space because it's not really worth renovating, in my opinion. I think it's past its life expectancy. It's past its point. Well, anyway, I guess that's my 2 cents. And I'm just wondering if it makes sense to reach out to the 3 municipalities that are 45 minutes to an hour from us to say, hey, realistically, what are we looking at here? I don't know if that's been done. Williston did a public works facility, but by looking at that, we don't have their money. So, that's not in the realm. But the other 3, Milton is a community of about the same size. Georgia has a lot more land than we have, so their equipment goes further. And St. Albans, again, I think it's a good look at what we could possibly need. I mean, in my mind, these are freestanding steel buildings with some garage doors that have, adjustable height for later needs. They're not limited to the confines of having to order a super sucker with a lower suspension so it fits in the existing building. They need radiant heat floor, and they need quick recovery heaters so that when the doors go open, the cold air isn't moving in. The rest of it's a freestanding building, and then there's some conference room walls put up and some bathrooms and other, it shouldn't be, too intense.
Marcus?
Thanks. I appreciate, Tim, you bringing that up, but and Rick, I don't want to get into the price tag because this is so preliminary and so early on. But I do want, if nothing else, I think this will help in the judgment, because my gut reaction, having been in those public works facilities and the other close municipalities, my gut reaction is, yeah, why wouldn't we rebuild? But I do want to ask the question around the existing buildings, because part of what I've seen and part of what I understand about the existing buildings is we're not just dealing with cosmetic issues potentially with these particular buildings. Not that they're gonna fall down on somebody's head, but right now, but I mean, if we're talking about what the future looks like for these buildings, I would anticipate there's gotta be a decent amount of work on these buildings to keep them up, maintained, and, healthy as best we can. Or one and or a couple of them might have to be replaced in the next 10 to 20 years. Because I'm thinking if we build new, then we're building for 50 to 100 years. Versus we're putting up a building, but we've got 2 other projects in the near future. So can you speak, and Regina, I do want to ask you, because it kind of goes back to one of the things that I was noting in the memo, was the statement from staff that this is not meeting our current needs or our future needs. And I guess to help the community understand, I think it would be great to be able to frame that in a way that they understand what's the need besides space for the trucks. Is there more going on here, or is it just space for the trucks?
That part real quick, just from my perspective, you guys both probably have something to add there. But you can tell on the bottom layout that those rectangles that are hanging out here unhoused, just not great for the any of those vehicles. It'd be best if we can keep them housed. Then really in terms of the facilities for the staff, they are completely inappropriate. There's a toilet in a closet that is just really not great for me to be thinking that that's where my staff has the only opportunity to go to the bathroom. Like, it's really not good at all. So that's my take. You guys might have more to add.
So one of the things that's important to understand with that version 1 is that the blue building, the existing building, is a metal building. It's the framework is fine, the structurally it's fine. And the proposal would be to completely gut it and rebuild the inside. So essentially all the facilities inside that building, the office space, the lockers, the bathrooms, the showers, the meeting space, the break room area would all be new. So essentially you're talking about having a new building. All of the working space where they park the trucks, clean the trucks, and move trucks in and out with the equipment that moves most of the time would be a brand new building. So what the old building would be left as is essentially cold storage for the equipment that doesn't move that much. And you can take a look, you'll see every single piece of equipment in the old building is labeled, and you can look on the plans and go back to that key and see which those are. There's, a man lift, some
Seasonal equipment.
yes, seasonal equipment.
Basket storage.
And so the old building just becomes really cold storage. Rick Jones' office becomes planned storage. The old break room becomes the new meter room, meter water room. And so the old building becomes more storage. And, like every good home, you want to have kind of like the clean area that you live and work in, but it's always good to have a closet, where that other stuff goes. And in version 1, there is that kind of closet where the other stuff goes that you don't have to be tripping over all the time. Whereas in version 2, all of that equipment lives right under the same roof, which is okay. But now you may have to move some things around that you don't have to move around in version 2. And there's also in version 1, we leave the storage, the little storage building that's still in the corner, that is even added storage for equipment, signs, cones, barrels, and things like that. If you take everything down, all of that equipment now needs to live somewhere underneath that one big tent in that roof. So in version 1, you walk into that facility, all the public spaces and the actual working shop, it's going to look like a new building. What you aren't going to see is the cold storage of the old barn. So, and if you decided in 20 years that more space was needed or adjustments to be made, that's when that building gets torn down. And then you could add that space back. And again, your public works folks never skip a beat because they've got a facility that they're working on. And again, you tear everything down, not only do you have to find a place for the employees, but you've got to find a place to park all that equipment, because it's going to have to move off the site during construction. So you got to find a home for all of that equipment to live for potentially a year and have access to it.
Thanks, I appreciate that. I think, when I think about this, I think that's just a necessary evil of the situation, to whatever plan we finally come up with. So I want to make sure we're building the right thing that actually, to Regina's point, as she was talking about, the environment that the staff is working in / living in that facility. I totally get her concern and I agree. So there's a portion of me too that goes, wouldn't it be nicer if I don't actually have to walk outside? Everything is here within, that I can get to and access and maintain and whatever else. Regardless, because I know we can play with shapes and placement. On that particular note, is there a reason, and again, I know this is very preliminary, is there a reason why it's set back so far? If I'm looking at version number 2, that it's set back so far off the front of that property, versus, because I'm gonna guess, based on, again, that parking lot that's already existing there, that kind of plays into, how you could turn into this space and move through that space, to give you more potential traffic flow access.
Oh, actually, let's stay here. So the reason the version 2 building is where it is if you look on sheet A1, which is the one that's up now, in the upper right-hand corner, there's a whole series of bays. And those are meant to partially replicate the existing sign building, the shed that's in the lower corner of the existing site. In order to access those, the doors on the outside, there has to be an alleyway to get to them, and also a place at the end of the building for pipe storage and other things. And so that's why the building is set back, and so that there can be some access on that upper end of the building to get into those storage spaces. Again, replicating some other storage that's on site for things that you don't want necessarily in and around your vehicles, tools, rakes, all the other pieces and parts that can be hung up on a wall. That gives you plenty of storage space. But to access it with the trucks, pickup trucks, bigger trucks, it's that alley has been left.
And you think that particular position, it needs to be close to the facility, or could you not place that in the southeast corner of because you're taking this building out anyway, so you could potentially put it down here in the southeast corner of this lot?
The new building?
Right, the lower right you put that storage on the other end of the property, essentially. And that lower right.
That's where it is now. And so what you'd be doing is either leaving that or building a new building in that lower right-hand corner.
So why not retain, I guess, since we have the building there, unless there's something structurally wrong with the building, why not retain that building then position there? Because they'll still have access, they'll have good access there, versus tucking it up into the alley, this alley.
Of all the buildings on the site, that's the one that probably needs the most attention.
That's the worst one.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
It's still standing, but I'm not sure.
gotcha, okay.
Held up by the garage doors.
Totally understand. Well, if we're having to rebuild it anyway into this alleyway, again, I might suggest a consideration for putting it back there. It's also out, easily accessible, I think. But then again,
yeah. And let me just say,
Rick is the one that works there every day. So
one of the benefits of placing it as we have is there'd be garage doors on the outside of the building, but also garage doors on the inside of the building. And so if it was inclement weather and you needed to grab some sawhorse signs or other material, you could load up inside the building in the dry and then exit the building. So we have access from both sides of those storage bins.
Okay, great. I'll hold off for now.
One of the things I found interesting about the proposal is we're talking about building this for the next 50 years. One of the advantages of being 4 square miles now is that we're not going to be building a lot more roads, right? Yeah, or the things that you need to maintain. So, like, do you envision that we're going to need more space because we're going to need more salt trucks or any of that stuff?
Well, ever since I've been here, what, 37 years?
Yeah.
And we did not have a backhoe. We didn't have a street sweeper.
Okay.
We didn't have a Super Sucker 7000. So these are all the things that, I really didn't see coming, but we did end up gradually going into that. I'd like to have at least enough space to cover everything that we have now, and then a little extra, just for who knows what's going to come in the next 20 years. This one piece of equipment that these folks are going to need.
Sure. And really, I'm asking this because I don't know, you're the professional, right? But also, if we're gonna go to the voters for for a big bond issue, right? And we're not about to grow our streets and sewer systems, right? Then I'd like to understand what growth we need to have.
Sure, there's going to be some growth, I'm sure. There's going to be spots where they're going to be able to put things.
Okay, and I think, sorry, did I let you finish? I'm sorry.
Can I ask that a microphone be moved next to Ricky, or Ricky, if you can get up close to Rick, whichever you're more comfortable with.
All right, check. Got me, Big Marcus?
You're good.
Yeah, and did I understand you correctly that the two, perfect. Yeah, so it's only that building in the far back that has structural issues. We don't have leaking roofs, right? You're interested in space and comfort for staff, right? More than you're worried that most of the buildings are about to fall down. Is that right?
Yeah, it's that one storage shed
Right.
at under your map there on the bottom right. That's the one that's not good. And the big structure, Rick kept calling it the barn. That one there is asphalt shingles underneath that tin. We did buy tin, I don't know how many years ago, I can't remember what it was, back when we were trying to merge with the town. And we did Public Works, we ended up laying that tin on top of that asphalt shingle, just that we did have some leaks in that. So kind of a Band-Aid, I would say.
Fair enough. And then last one, I appreciate the tour of the facility that you gave me soon after I seated. Thank you. One of the things we talked about was that was the salt sheds. That on a big snow year, we might not be able to store enough salt. So it would be useful to have a fourth, I believe,
An extra bay.
salt shed. Yep. But that's not something that's in this proposal.
It
Yes.
is.
It is.
Oh, it is.
Version 1 and version 2 add an additional bay for the salt and move the 2 granular bins over, and then also relocate the cold patch, mulch, topsoil bins to the side, and then provides roof structures over all of that granular material, which is not roof now. So whether it's version 1 or version 2, both include that improvement to the granular material storage.
Well, very good. If that is included, then withdrawn. All for me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, it's taking me a minute.
Anybody else have any other questions from the council?
Just to separate from my real quick, Brian, just so you can see, this shows 2 more additions to it. That's the salt shed down there, and then that area down there would be that storage of these materials. Space.
If you look at your plan sheet V1, you'll see the outline of all the new structures down by the salt shed.
It's kind of black on black, so I missed it. So apologies. Thank you. And I see it.
Marcus, any other questions?
No, not at this time. I really do appreciate the preliminary view, though, so I want to thank you both for coming out and sharing this, so we could start the conversation that we need to have. But you know, I just want to make sure that again, I, you know what? I'm just gonna keep my mouth shut for right now. I'm gonna wait. There's gonna be a better time. So, but thank you both for this preliminary look. Thanks.
Tough call, which way you want to go with it. That's for sure. I want to give you these two options and see what you felt.
I'm gonna.
Rock, paper, scissors?
Well, I'm gonna bring it back to us. Is there any comments from the public? Raise your hand if any. Okay.
And,
Yeah.
and let me just recap.
Sure.
I misspoke. Version 1 in the ballpark, 5 million. Version 2 in the ballpark, 8 million. So 5, 8, I think I said 9. So it's 5 and 8. It's the difference between the two versions based on our preliminary estimates. And that includes the site work.
And I heard you say that 8 months, but I think that was just for one version. Is that it wasn't clear to me whether it was 8 months and 12 months in for both plans.
I would plan for a year construction either way.
And then there's no time savings by going one way or the other.
There may be some. I don't.
It's
At
impossible.
this preliminary
Yeah.
part of where we're at right now, because there's so many other details that drive that schedule and how that works. I don't think there's a way to really parse that out at this point. We'd have to be farther down the road with more details about 1 or 2. I don't think there's going to be a lot of difference. One's not 2 years and one's 1 year. I don't think there's that, but one might be a little quicker than the other.
Thank you.
So round robin and see what's your thoughts on 1 or 2. Tim, while he's thinking, I can see the thought process.
I'm gonna die on hill number 2.
Marcus, 1 or 2.
I don't know yet. Can I do have a question though.
What's your question?
So let's talk about the vehicles for just a second. Again, Ricky, I want to be clear. I want to be clear with the public regarding how this impacts your vehicles by the way that they're currently being managed. I mean, I would assume that having so many vehicles out in the weather 24, most of the year, and not just with use, but because of the fact we're storing, it's having impact on those vehicles in such a way that maybe it shaves off a year or two in our ability to use these vehicles or the length of use. Could we extend our use case on vehicles if we're able to store them indoors? We can't have a 50-year plan on your pickup trucks? I'm just kidding.
Well, I don't know about the 50, but yeah. I think we get 10, 12 out of them and they're pretty good, yes. One of the things is like the backhoe gets stored outside. So in the middle of the wintertime, we need that. The hydraulic systems just takes a lot to warm it up to be able to move it. So if that was stored inside a building, the street sweeper, we have to winterize and pull the batteries, throw that, tuck it out in the corner. We'd have that in a heated facility. So some of these mild winters, and we need it for whatever emergency. I'm not saying just for general maintenance, but for bad accident or some big cleanup, big spill, we could easily pull that out and have access to be able to sweep, whether it be March, if it's halfway warm enough, we could definitely use that. But just, again, yes, to get everything under cover and get it out of the weather, it's got to save some. I can't tell you we're going to extend the life of these things, 1.3 years. No, I can't tell you that.
But in
yes.
either version, they're all getting inside.
Yeah, they're getting
So-
inside. And the other thing is,
If you're looking for that to be the deciding factor, it's not.
No, not at all. But again, it's one of those things about this project and why we're doing it. The other thing that I want to ask is around city vehicles in general, because as I recall, and tell me if I'm wrong, but especially when we've seen giant weather events come up. I mean, we do our very best to cover what we can. We have a limited amount of space, but if we had a large enough space, I would assume that some of our other city vehicles and or equipment could then potentially be sheltered in a situation where we would want to shelter as much as we can during a potential, weather event or such.
Yeah, like EGRP, you mean? Like one of their
Yeah,
pickups or
'cause
something?
I'm thinking about like, are we managing just to the public works need, or is there a need beyond that? Because I could foresee, needing to store vehicles for a short time if you're talking about, major winter storm or something, that kind of thing. I don't know.
We do store a lot of the plow stuff for EJRP. We got their sander over there. We've got their plow over there, I believe. The pusher for the whacker, and we do store some of that stuff. Not so much the vehicle. They want it there, so when they come in, they don't have to come to our shop to get it. That's what they used to do. They used to come over and grab our pickups back when there's two of them plowing. They'd come over, grab our pickup, so then we wouldn't have them. We'd have to have other vehicles to use. But yes, no, if they needed to bring something over, I think in the past, the fire departments stored over there. They were doing the floor, I think, at the fire department. So it was during the summer, of course, so we were able to take all our vehicles out. And I guess one of the things to consider is that the building we have now, the barn, the ceiling height is not good for putting anything up, like a dump body, body on the sweeper, definitely not the vac trucks. Yeah, definitely not those. But that's just another thing to put out there as far as the room up. Yeah, I guess call it headroom or the dump body room.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
Now you've got to make a decision, one or two.
Two.
Okay. Brian,
And I'm sorry, what exactly are we deciding here?
which direction? I mean, I guess.
Which direction?
Yeah, which direction to go for the next steps? Are we doing the infill, or are we doing the full rebuild?
Well, fair enough, because I want to riff a little bit on what Marcus is saying, or at least that I feel like he's saying, in that there is a third option here, which is to do neither. And I am at this point, and with respect, not convinced that we need to do either. So part of that is because I'm new,
Okay.
but part of that is that I want to see more information. So
Okay.
if what we're agreeing to do here is go forward with and potentially do a plan, then sure. That said, between the two, I think it's kind of a deal breaker that they're without a facility for a year. If the point of this exercise is we have to have these vehicles undercover, not having them undercover for a year seems like a deal breaker. Is a deal breaker from my perspective.
Yep.
So
Is that a deal breaker for the project? Because what I heard was it's going to be down regardless of which version we're talking about. So it sounds like if you're saying that we're unwilling to, that you're potentially unwilling to, to move them out while any project is moving forward, I would say I'm not sure how we do that.
then maybe I misunderstood.
One they can stay there.
One they can.
One they can stay.
Yeah.
One they can.
Two they
stay.
cannot.
One they
But-
have a place to meet, they've got a bathroom, they've got all the facilities they've got now. Obviously, some of the things on the site are gonna have to move to make room for construction, but they can still stay on the site and operate out of the site, in version 1. In version 2, there's nothing left for them until that building is complete.
Yeah,
We'd have to do
park the vehicles on Jackson.
It doesn't change the situation of the vehicles, one or two though. We still need to find a place for the vehicles,
No.
not the people.
No, in version 1, the barn stays, and so
Okay, so you can move
so
the
the
vehicles.
plow trucks that are inside now can stay inside. The pickup trucks that are living outside now would still be outside.
Yeah.
So the storage capability, it would be just like it is now, until construction was completed. Again, you're gonna have to move some things around on site, but there still will be inside storage for key vehicles,
Yeah.
super suckers undercover, the trucks, so the plow guys don't show up and have to spend the first 2 hours clearing snow off the trucks to plow. In version 1, that happens. In version 2, unless you find a giant warehouse somewhere where this stuff can live under cover, it's all gonna be out, and it's probably going to be not all on the site, it's gonna be spread around the community because there won't be room on the site.
So thoughts now, based on
Yeah,
I know
that's-
you're good.
Yeah, I mean, I get
I've
the,
seen those buildings. I've been in them 100 times. I don't know.
So yes, I didn't say there's a third option that you don't have to vote. You can say I'm not, you know, I'm not ready to move forward. That is totally an option for
Yeah.
you, but.
I mean, yeah, if we're stating a preference, then between the version which does not destroy the buildings and allow them to be used for the year of construction,
Yeah.
that is my preference of those two options.
So your preference is 1.
I believe you.
You
The
got
number
it.
is confusing.
Got 2. I'm gonna go with 2. So I think you got the majority of the room saying 2. I mean, obviously that brings up the underlying elephant in the room of what to do, but that's not what we're gonna address tonight. I think you needed the direction. I think that, you know, I have some thoughts, but we can
take those offline.
We can take those offline.
Yep.
So
Fair enough.
you guys got what you need from us?
Yeah,
Regina?
and I think, Brian, to your point, this, essentially what we're attempting to do is try and work backwards from a bond vote if you folks choose at a number of points in this process to even put this forward to a bond vote. So right now, really our aim is to figure out what even is that dollar amount we're talking about. So then we can get you a bunch more information, like, do we have that debt capacity? If we do have that debt capacity, what does this actually look like for future budgets in terms of paying this debt back? I definitely hear you too on a better explanation of the need beyond us who've just been here for a long time, and you look at the building and you're like, to some extent, it feels a little bit like a no-brainer, but that's not an accurate description for others who need need to know whether this is actually a need or not. So I appreciate you asking those questions.
Yeah, and I can tell you, I did not knock on a door where anyone said that we needed a new public works facility. So if we are going to go to the public and ask them to take out money that they have to repay, then a better explanation for why that is necessary needs to be forthcoming.
I think that makes sense, but I'd
Yeah,
also
for
say
sure.
that I bet you that those people that you knocked on their door have never been to that public works building.
As soon as we have a public works open house,
We'll do
before we
tours.
ask for the bond,
Yeah, and
Good.
you know, I think
That's a good suggestion.
I think
Even I
that you
think-
have to do that.
Absolutely.
in other places where the building is potentially not even as rough as our current public works facility, it
I mean-
is,
I did hear this when I knocked on doors in Milton, right? When I ran over office in Milton, but I didn't in Essex Junction.
yeah.
Keep going.
So it's interesting because it can sometimes tend to be a bit of a hidden facility, like no one is
Yeah.
ever going to be able to go and use it, right? So it does take, I think, a little bit of extra effort to explain why we think this is needed, so
No, I
I
agree.
appreciate that.
I agree. When I worked on merger and knocked on doors for merger, it was a very hard sell to say for town voters, like, we want to raise your taxes and you fundamentally get nothing in return. And the example I always used is if we were coming to you and said that we're going to build you a community center that you can use, and yes, it will cost you money, that's something that voters can get their heads around. Where this is like, we have a public works facility is going to be a tough sell. So.
Yeah.
So with respect, I know that you do a lot of great work, Rick, and I appreciate it, right? But
Except for
I
on
gotta tell
Grove,
you,
except for on Grove Street
Except on Grove Street.
the other day. We
But,
did not mean to, we apologize.
Thank you. But yeah, it's like, well, and honestly, a lot of that is a statement on you doing a good job, right? Because like it's like a toilet seat problem. If you leave the toilet seat up, you get in trouble. But if you put it down, you're doing a good job and no one notices, right?
Yes.
So I think that's so. Anyway,
I think that's it.
Okay. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
All right, so the next 2 items are executive sessions, so I'm gonna just keep this open and do a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Council member comments and city manager report. Regina?
So I just want to mention the opioid forum that we are helping put on, as well as the town of Essex, the town of Westford, and the Essex Westford School District and View. So this is September 9th at the Essex High School Auditorium. It's going to start at 5 p.m. with a community meal, barbecue, and then from 6 to 8:30, there are resource booths, discussion panels, and I think this is going to be a helpful and useful event. For folks who don't know, the city does get some opioid funding from pharmaceutical companies through these various lawsuits through pharmaceutical companies. And so this could be a helpful opportunity to help inform how we use those funds. So.
Thank you. Counselor, comments?
Nothing
Anybody?
for me. Marcus has his hand up.
Marcus?
I'm sorry she's not here for me to say this while she's here. She can catch this on YouTube later. But I do want to say congratulations to Elaine for getting that blue ribbon for her beautiful flowers at the fair. Really representing with that community garden here in the city. And, just kudos to her. And I'll just mention my wife got 3rd place for her whoopie pie.
Congratulations, Elise. All right, who's got the executive session motion?
I have.
Go ahead.
I move that the city council make the specific finding that premature disclosure of the contractual matters would place the city at a substantial disadvantage. I move that the city council enter into executive session to discuss a contract pursuant to 1 VSA 313A1A to include the city council and city manager.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We have another one.
That's the only one I saw.
I have it if you want me to. I move that the city council make the specific finding that premature disclosure of the contractual matters would place the city at a substantial disadvantage. I move that the city council enter into executive session to discuss a contract pursuant to 1 VSA 313A1A to include the city council and city manager.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you, everyone. We are going into executive session. We are not returning.